Greetings, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us this evening for the Sit and Chat Town Hall session with the City of South Fulton candidate for District 3, Benny Crane. Benny Crane is an insurance professional, an entrepreneur, community advocate, and an independent thinker. Benny's approach to life and business is marked by innovative solutions and a fearless pursuit of excellence. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Benny Crane. And as soon as he tells you a little bit about himself, let me back up and let me share with you the District 3 area, what it covers. I'm not sure if all of you are aware that District 3 encompasses Welcome All, the Red Oak area, Roosevelt Highway, Cliftondale, and portions of Stonewall Road, and some of those areas in between. Now, Benny's going to share a little bit about himself, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you, Ms. Adams, and I appreciate you being here with us tonight as we get a chance to speak right directly to the voters tonight to talk about what the opportunities are that we face as it relates to the geography. One other area that I like to make sure I always include the southernmost part of the district, which is down the South Fulton Parkway to 92 and back up to Jones Road and cut back through that way. So geographically, this is one of the largest districts, because you got a lot of green space. So this is I call it God's country because we have so much green space. It's such a beautiful place. But thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to continuing to talk with and speak directly with the voters of District 3. This is an opportunity that just won't just be a one-off, but I look forward to doing this over in the new year when we get sworn in on January 1st and, represent the people. So I keep my ear pressed against the lips of the people, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation tonight.
That's awesome. Well, just tell us a little bit why you're running. I know we've talked about geographically, the area that it covers, but why are you running? Why do you want to be the next city council member?
I'm running. The short answer is because, like many people who we've talked to over the past 5 or 6 months, they say, we believe we deserve better leadership. Because the leadership that we have now is just not measuring up to the standard that we believe we need in order to be the robust district and the city that we all envision. So I'm running because I believe that there are greater opportunities out there that we are woefully missing because we are not uniquely positioned to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are staring us in the face. And those that are hidden under a rock here or there, you got to be a visionary to know how to turn those stones and look for opportunities. I'm talking about a visionary, Ms. Adams, like the one that's sitting before you. It was Benny Crane, the visionary, who saw fit for us to create a city. And I didn't stop being a visionary when I went to the Georgia State and the Young School of Public Policy and commissioned them to do a feasibility study to determine whether we'll be a viable city. I've always been a very vision-oriented kind of person, and I believe there's much more. I heard somebody say it this way: eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard all the good things that are in store. And I want to help bring those opportunities to bear so that we can live the quality of life, a great place to live, work, and raise a family right here, not just in the city of South Fulton, which is a wonderful place, border to border, but I'm talking about in District 3. So I'm running because I believe the best is yet to come.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you there's, much controversy and much chatter about the controversy and the dysfunctional leadership, the unethical practices, and that go on in the city of South Fulton. What's going to be different with your leadership, and how are you going to bring about change?
Well, listen, I had someone tell me not long ago. They said, Mr. Crane, if you are elected and you show up to city council meetings and slept through the meetings, the meetings would be better, because there would be an absence of incivility and lack of decorum. So how will I be different? How will it be different? I'll bring my many years of professional experiences to the table, entrepreneurial experience, and nonprofit. Because I believe that, this body of work that I bring has uniquely prepared me for a time such as this. So what I want to do right off the bat is, corral my colleagues, and we'll talk about an ethics reform package. I liken my initiative and my thought to the late Emma Darnell. She was a champion for ethics reform. I mean, you can hang your hat on that one issue. If nothing else, she was big on senior services, but she was big on ethics reform. And I believe if we were able to get my colleagues in the room, and we talk about having a strong ethic board, ethics guidelines, complete with consequences, I believe that people will be more apt to be good actors rather than bad actors and behave professionally. But right now, there's been 6 years of runaway violations, and I believe it happened because there were no guardrails and there were no consequences for bad action. Yes, people file harassment charges, but filing harassment charges and then the one who's the target of the harassment goes to the person who filed the charges and say, why did you file that harassment case against me? All you had to do is come talk to me, and then all of a sudden that goes away. To me, that's tantamount to jury tampering. It should be unlawful, because I think that's another classic case of bullying. So what's going to be different? We're going to bring to that body professionalism, humility, decorum, and a high sense of ethics, and doing the things that will make our city proud of us, and not just be embarrassed every time we turn to television. It's more mess. It's time for the mess to stop.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this then. How do you share with the voters how you plan to bring relief to some of the taxpayers on both sides of South Fulton? That's west of Old National Highway and south of Old National Highway.
Well, we've got to do something about how we spend the taxpayer dollars. With over $200 million budget, that's a lot of money to be responsible for. And we can't be like kids in a candy store. You want one of these and two of those, and can I get three of those? We got to stop that runaway spending. We got to stop the duplications. We got to, and once we start to reduce the frivolous and foolish spending, then we can begin to, in earnest, roll back the millage rate so that the homeowners can feel a real relief from their millage rate rollback. Because here's the reality. Many people who live in our city, and if you don't live in a very expensive house, many people, particularly seniors, pay $0 in property taxes to the city. We all know that the bulk of our property tax dollars go to the school board. So it's those people who live in the more expensive homes who are paying the lion's share of this. So whether that's north, south, east, or west, we have some pricey homes all over this city. But we got to find a way to give all of these people the relief that they deserve, and we can restore confidence by simply reducing the ways for spending. Then people will see. Let's start with a P card. That's such a hotbed issue. If we get that under control, whether in reality or the perception of it, plus rolling back the millage rate, I believe we will, number one, we'll restore public confidence, and we'll put monies back into people's pockets that we've been pillaging for years with runaway spending and failure to roll back the millage rate until there was a public outcry just this year. So we got work to do there.
So let me ask you this then, because that dovetails into the waste removal, the trash service that was just the cost of that annual cost that was put on the backs of the homeowners in the city of South Fulton. But then, along with the service, there was no recycling. Um, you know, what what do you plan to do, or do you plan to do anything about that? Because I'm hearing from a lot of seniors that they just can't afford it. And not even all seniors. All of the citizens really can't afford a one-time tax bill for trash service.
Right. Well, the fact that there is no waste I mean, recycling opportunity, uh, I think that's a classic case of lack of deep thought. We didn't think through this. And how in the world in 2023, in this year where global warming is showing its head all over the world, oceans getting warmer, it's getting colder when it's not shouldn't be cold, it's hot when it shouldn't be hot, more vicious hurricanes, tornadoes, and rainstorms all over the place. We have to do our part. So we got to incentivize people to do recycling. And the way you help to incentivize them, you create the infrastructure. So it was a gross misstep by not doing that, number one. Number two, here's what could have been prevented. We go to Dr. Ferdinand, get him to do the annual billing for this. Again, here's a classic case of lacking deep thought. Did we not think that mortgage companies would not continue to troll the county tax commissioner site? And if they see one of their property tax parcel IDs that has a bill out there, they're going to pay it. We should have thought more clearly about how the process works. If there's a bill at the tax commissioner's office for this house, the mortgage company is going to see it and they're going to pay it. So that lacked deep thought. The other part of that is we should never have put that in the hands of the tax commissioner. It was just ripe for problems. We should have had our own public works department stand up, complete with all of the infrastructure that they needed to do a quarterly billing and bill people on a quarterly basis, just like they were accustomed to. Now, granted, some people did not have a waste their own private haulers because they took their garbage down the street and threw it in the dumpster behind Kroger or took it down to the end of the street. So there is value in having this service, but we got to make sure that we do the most good for the most people. Most people had private haulers for sanitation, but we should have put them in the same position that they were in before we went to this single source. We should have billed them on a quarterly basis. And I think there are still opportunities there. We just got to be forthright and thoughtful about doing it. I think we can get that done.
Absolutely. Now, you said something that was key. You mentioned public works. So with regards to that, why do you think certain roads and streets have been resurfaced when others have been overlooked? I'm trying to understand who makes that decision. Does it lie in the hands of the Public Works Department, or is it the elected officials? Who determines which streets get paved or resurfaced when others don't? Do you have any insight on that?
Well, I have a guess. Don't hold me to this, but I think they draw lots. Whose streets are going to get paved? And I say that because certainly it's not prioritized professionally based on a scoring mechanism, based on the highest priorities. What streets should get prioritized insofar as how long it's been, what is its current relative condition, what is the traffic study count about how much is it deteriorating? Do you have a lot of truck traffic there? There'll be telltale signs when you have the right qualified people doing these evaluations. And once you have the right people doing the evaluation, like a qualified structural civil engineering company, they can tell you where the priorities should be. But see, oftentimes people, when you put things like that in other people's hands, they think that they've lost some leverage in getting some brownie points for getting your street paved. I'm gonna get everybody over here street paved. But the shortest answer is I don't believe the mechanism for prioritizing how to expend those federal dollars under the T-SPLOST money. I don't think the priority system was engaged properly, because if it were, we would see, number one, the right streets being paved at the right time. And a bigger threat that we face, the potential of having to pay back thousands, if not millions of dollars, because if you don't expend federal dollars that are earmarked for specific purposes on time, then you got to send that money back to the federal government. So they are now trying to ramp up and run fast and catch up to get some of the spending done. And I'm gonna tell you, when you run haphazardly, mistakes occur, and you're gonna have contracting mistakes, just like the one you talked about a moment ago. How did we end up with a sanitation hauler that didn't have or doesn't have recycling? Well, what type of compaction are we going to get when you're trying to do 1,000 things at once? I'm really concerned about that process.
Well, and having said that, then let me ask you this. What's your opinion about some of the lawsuits against the elected officials? Now, we've had quite a few in the last 6 years. We're 6 years old now.
Well,
Share your opinion on that.
well, let me tell you something. It's like a free for all.
Okay.
These are federal lawsuits filed by employees, former employees, against council members. And it's egregious, because it's not just because people showed up and, we're just going to sue this council person or that council person just because they didn't have anybody to sue. No, we had people who were coloring outside of the lines sitting on that council, and they put themselves in harm's way by doing the work of a city manager or a department head when they were outside of the boundaries. So it's a sad day. We're spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even investigating harassment cases. These cases have not even risen to the level of lawsuits. I'm talking about the ones that are just beginning to get some traction, not to mention the ones that are big. I understand that was a $5 million one that came in just a few months ago, and that's not even the most egregious one. So it breaks my heart, because these are the kinds of things that we see on the television. We got to find some good stuff that we can be on the news for, like, opening, a warming center, or having a wraparound collaborative. So when kids get suspended from school, we can help the school system by having a place for these kids to go that's safe and that they can get homework assistance. Let's be on the news for good stuff like that. I think we can be proud of the good stuff and not be so embarrassed by this mockery of all these lawsuits.
Awesome. Well, it's so good to hear what your visions are, and to hear your platform for change is pretty much what it is. It sounds like you're going to be a change agent for the city of South Fulton. But what I'd like you to do is, what do you want to leave the voters with this evening? What do you want from the voters? And then how can they reach you after tonight and volunteer or donate to your campaign?
Well, thank you for that. Here's what I want to ask the constituency to do. I want you to consider this candidate. Vet me thoroughly. You can do it on this platform, or you can call me at 404-317-7283, or you can go to my website at bennycrane.com, and you can send me a message. There are a lot of ways to reach out, but I want you to really consider this opportunity that we are staring at today, with just days left before the final day to vote, staring us in the face. We've got to make a decision. Do we want to continue down this path that we're going, or do we want to seize this moment and make the change that we deserve? I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that bullying is on the ballot. Vote no. We have lack of humility on the ballot. Vote no. We have incivility on the ballot. Vote no. We have harassment of employees and other council members on the ballot. We have hot mics on the ballot. We have all kinds of ethical transgressions on the ballot, and I urge you, vote no. And the way you cast your vote no for those things you vote for Benny Crane. Vote for Benny Crane to be your next city councilman for District 3. I make a promise to you. I will not do the thing that's going to have us on the news. And the other thing is, I'll make you proud. Go to the poll on November the 7th. Vote for me. But you can meet me at the poll and help us out. We need poll workers on November the 7th. If you want to be a part of that, reach out to us on social media, on Nextdoor, Facebook, website, telephone number 404-317-7283. We need you. I need you. Come through for us like I will come through for you.
Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from the next candidate, well, from the candidate, Benny Crane, who's vying to be the next city council member for District 3. He's asking for your vote. So in the next few days, you have the remainder of this week to early vote. And then if you miss that opportunity, then meet him at the polls as he's asked next Tuesday. So thank you so much. And we hope that everyone casts their ballot and votes in this election.